Hello and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. I almost messed up on that intro again. It was real close. I don't know why. I think it's because it's so spicy in here.
So spicy.
So spicy. How hot is it in your room right now? Do you know?
I don't have any way of measuring it.
You don't have a thermometer?
In my room? No.
What the heck is wrong with you?
I have
On
like
these
one of
hot
those
days?
body temperature ones.
Wait, like the ones you take your own temperature with?
Yes, I have that. I don't have a room temperature.
You might as well just use your body temperature up the rectum of your room, and then you'll get the temperature of your room.
Mine doesn't check it up there. But
Okay.
it's a laser on your head nowadays, my guy. What century you living in?
Can you like laser your wall? No, that would be too cold. That'd probably be pretty cold.
I mean, I haven't tried it. Is this the intro we're going with here, Aaron? This is not a good intro to the episode.
I don't know. I think I'm just heat delirious, you know?
Clearly.
It's just so spicy. No, well, my lukewarm open is last week we kind of talked about favorite NPCs / PCs and that we made, and you thought it was only NPCs.
Yes,
so
I did.
I wanted to give us another opportunity to either talk about a few things. One, your favorite PC you've created and kind of their favorite story they've been on. So kind of what's your favorite campaign you've been in / ran in or ran yourself / what is your favorite PC or PC experience that you've had? PC being player character, for those who don't know.
Yeah. So I'll say let's start with you on that one.
Oh, man. Favorite campaign I've been in? I think I'm going to stick to play-in because I've ran quite a few campaigns and I like...
Well, because we're talking about PCs right now.
Yeah, so I think my favorite player character... Boy, it's really difficult, but I have so many... Do you suffer from this problem too? I think you do. I think we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. But do you suffer with the chronic character creator syndrome?
Yes, or you just love to create characters. Now, so what I have found is that if I take the time to develop like a backstory and a character, I'm going to have an uncontrollable urge to want to play that character desperately. Yeah, so if I have a character and I want to keep playing that character, I cannot create another one because if I do, I'll want to play that one more.
I have the same problem, but the thing is that I love creating characters so much.
Yeah, I just created one just like yesterday that is a druid fighter.
A druid fighter? Why? That's a weird multi-class.
I know. It's pretty much a ranger, but it does it better.
Okay. Wait, how many levels of druid are you taking?
It's 4 druid and 3 of fighter.
Oh, what are you doing with the rest of the levels then? Like later?
I think the rest would be mostly druid, I think. So what this person does, they're an elf. They
do they have like
they have elven accuracy.
Yeah.
And they're a champion fighter.
Okay, yeah.
And all of their spells are like entangle, hold person.
Yeah.
I might do levels of rogue with this one, because the whole point is that they're going to be stealthy, get advantage for whatever reason on their attack, and then just try and crit.
Yeah, I love doing crit fish builds.
Not like excessively so. I don't want to make it like, because it's not the most optimum crit fish. No, because
probably not.
First off, a druid fighter is not a good combo, but I wanted to try it, and I was just like, I'm having fun with this.
I think, at least in my favorite crit fish build that I've never really seen done before, but I think would work really well is, we're talking about our favorite PCs, and my favorite PC is probably Seamus, my halfling bard. But playing him, so he's just a Psychic Blades bard, pretty basic, who lived in like a steampunk city. So he has all sorts of cool little steampunk gadgets, and he's, just a fun character in general to play. There's not really a whole lot that's like super special about him. except for when I made him, even though he was my favorite, I got a pretty sudden urge to play something different. So it's really fun, and I'm going to go into total min-maxing here because I can, because hashtag min-maxing D&D is the best D&D.
I don't agree, but
I'm kidding, yeah.
really makes it unfun for a lot of people.
Oh, it really does, for sure. But I really love rolling big damage numbers and having huge, humongous damage numbers, or even healing numbers. But I think I've talked a little bit about this before, but a paladin psychic blades bard. So you take, like, I can't remember what the level is you need for Paladin of Vengeance, where you can, like, mark them as your, like, vengeance thing and you get advantage against them or whatever.
I think it's only third to get Vow of Enmity.
3. Yeah, I think it's 3. But anyways, you take 3 Paladin, and then a ton of Bard, so then the rest are Bard. And then what you do is you just crit fish, or you take or you take 1 level in Warlock for the Pact as well to get a crit on 19 and 20.
Yeah.
And then you just crit, and when you crit, you put in your highest level Smite and Psychic Blades at the same time. Every time. And it's so much damage.
Okay.
You crit on 19 and 20. You add your Charisma modifier to your damage, and you add your Dexterity modifier to your damage. So I always think it's super fun. Or even like a rogue, and you sneak around with expertise and you instant kill people.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
So question for you. I'll say I'm going to slightly change because it sounds like we're not going anywhere near what you were asking is your...
No.
So my idea is there a class, subclass, or idea of mixture of subclasses and things, like a multi-classed character that you've, like a build that you've always wanted to run, but you've never had the right campaign to do it?
Well, okay, so I've ran a min-maxed build before. That was incredibly broken, and I think you played in that campaign. It was actually Caecilius.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's incredibly broken, but the reason
But you also rolled insane stats.
Yeah, I had pretty good stats, but I only had two classes, so I took 1 level in cleric, and then the rest were bard. And so pretty much what I do with that is I stole Healing Spirit from the druid spell list with being a lore bard, and then when you cast a spell, when you're a first level life cleric, you can add the spell level to all the healing rolled. And so when you cast Healing Spirit as a bonus action, or at least how it used to be, they changed it a little bit because it was so busted, but it still is super busted. But how it is you cast it as a bonus action, you can like move it around as a bonus action, but if anybody runs through it the first time on their turn, if they enter into its area the first time on their turn, they get healed by it. And essentially, all you do is you just move it around as a bonus action on turn, heal everybody in combat, and I could heal, like, if I upcast it, you could heal like 200, 300 points a turn, just by healing, or like 6 player, well, not a turn, combat, just by healing people in like just moving it around. But that's not even where it was like mostly broken. Where it's super broken is at the end of a fight, you can heal everyone to like full HP, just completely, just with 1 casting of even like a 2nd level healing spirit, because it lasts for a minute and you can just like move it back and forth so that people can get healed. But they ended up limiting the amount. So I did play. That's my favorite multi-class. Just because when you're playing, so this is for all you min-max builds that don't play in a min-max campaign. The reason why I liked it so much is that people don't feel bad that you're playing it, because you're like healing them. They stay healthy. They can still do their cool stuff like hit people with their sword or smite people, and they feel like they're contributing more than what you're even doing. But because everybody appreciates a good healer, right? So you just feel like you're not, playing a paladin doing 200 damage and killing the bad guy in 1 shot, right? You're not doing that. So it feels...
Yeah, you're min-max healing.
It feels way less guilty than, min-maxing damage-wise or even AC-wise.
Yeah.
Like, DM just can't hit you, but it's really fun to just be able to heal so much, because it just doesn't feel as busted to the people that are around you, so they don't feel like they're not part of the D&D game.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious now for you. What about you? Do you have like a favorite multi-class that you?
Oh, mine's not even a
You wanna
multi-class. Mine is a singular class that I really want to play, but it really requires a in-game city, like a in-city game where you're the whole thing takes place mostly in a city, and you're dealing with like interesting stuff with like and I just don't think I've ever played in a campaign like that. And I want to play the rogue thief. Like, I love that subclass. I love second story work. I love the abilities to climb and the abilities to use magic items that are technically not for your class. You can just like force them to work for you.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Why does it have to be a city campaign?
Well, I think it just the type of character I want to play with a thief subclass is that type of character.
Is a character who's like, you know,
It's sort of in city
in an area that you can use its abilities a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I mean, I love so I also think the thief subclass is super fun for rogue. It's, in my opinion, not super great, but I love it a lot. I love the ability to use like magic items that you're not supposed to be able to use.
Yes.
I think that's so cool. That's so fun.
I also don't think there's enough of those in 5th edition. They were in older editions of D&D, they did exist, but there's like very few. There's probably like 10 at most. Like, there's not a lot written into.
Really not. And I also find too, at least in my style of game, I don't know, I run a lot of custom homebrew magic items that don't have like class restrictions, you know? So like playing a thief is kind of like, oh well, like, you know, I still have the magic items that I use, but like, you know, I don't use a lot of book magic items. I do, but you know, it's not, I like using custom made magic items that are super busted and super OP because they make players feel fun and powerful. So I like doing that a lot, but I don't know. I just find the thief, while the concept is super cool, it's just like not a lot to do in D&D with it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think in
want a very specific
5.5, the one that they're going to come out with, I'm hoping there's a lot more RP stuff, and the game will be suited to using it to its full extent at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it would be really fun to. I mean, there's even some like single classes that I really like Moon Druid because it's so busted. It's so broken.
I mean, at high levels, it's pretty much unkillable.
Well, it is unkillable at high levels unless you can remove their shape changing ability with like a spell. So, but I remember I played in your campaign for a little bit. I played that Ratfolk, who was a druid scavenger. I really liked him too. He was really cool. So his backstory essentially was just like think of like a scavenger on Tatooine who like investigated like old ancient ruins and stuff, and like would sell what he found to like junk traders. And he would use his like wild shapes to fly up onto places that you normally couldn't reach and things like that. So I really liked him. I thought he was really cool. But his main thing that I used to do, because I love to cheese games, is he would like turn himself into a creature with a burrow speed and cast Call Lightning, and then he would burrow down underground so that nobody could find him. And if he was a mole, he had like blind sense, so he could still see everywhere he was going and call down lightning and never be hurt. It was so dumb. It was so stupid. It was so stupid, but I loved it. It was really fun. But you know, being able to do like that kind of stuff with Moon Druid, because you can cast out of Moon Druid's beast shapes, is just insane. They're just so busted. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so what's real topic for today? What do you got going on?
Yeah. Well, so last week we created a really, really interesting opening to season 5 of our world. For season 5, our world is basically this. The gods are celebrities, and the way that they get followers is that they create content. They are entertaining. Majority of that content is fighting each other, though there are some that are healers and some that are entertainers in more of a musical way. But all of them are competing for the love of people.
For some reason, I just got like a hi, my name is Asmodeus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please hit like and subscribe.
We're doing a playthrough of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I hope you like
Father of Lies.
I'm the father of lies. Let's do this. And as you know, because it's me, I gotta do that Dark Jedi. I gotta be that Sith, as we all know.
Now there are two of them.
And now there are two of them.
Inside joke. Anyways, continue.
Don't forget to join the Discord channel. Become one of those Asmo men. Yeah.
Asmo men. Oh, God.
I couldn't think of a good name for his subscribers.
I feel like the Asmo men is not the way to go.
It's atrocious. It's terrible.
It's really bad. What you would do is you'd set up a Patreon, and they would be like the layers of hell. So you like your first tier of Patreon, would be
You're
the first layer of hell.
Dispatter, you're Impator, you're in.
So dumb. Okay. Anyways,
You can join us at the top tier in the city of Dis.
yeah. Gosh.
So, this week we're looking at a specific god, and no, it is not a god / devil like Asmodeus.
One more question, actually.
One more
Do
answer.
you think the city of Dis has super cool rap battles?
So the god we're looking at today is Amaunator of the Forgotten Realms, specifically from the Netherese Society, which I've mentioned so many times at this point, and we have an episode on them.
Yep.
I feel like you could figure out who the Netherese are. They're very important to D&D's lore. Now, Amaunator was known as the deity of order, law, time, and the sun. He is cautious god. He is a cautious god, being known for writing lots of things from transcripts to contracts and deals. He does this not just to be certain of what transpired, but he wants to have everything following law and order. And by going through the act of writing it up, contracting and notarizing all of it, the world is a little less crazy and more knowable. I don't know if this is true, but I kind of took it as a sort of anxiety. Like, he has this anxiety, so he's got to like journal all the conversations he has and write down tracks to make sure it all goes as he he thinks it should.
He just has to. He just needs to write it down because he's anxious.
Yeah. Now, because of his laws, contracts, and notarizing of many actions, he was seen as a stern deity, going with law above all else. He focused on promises, contracts, and political order, so far that he believed political order must be kept as it is on Toril among the gods. So he would create these crazy long contracts to kind of keep Pantheons as they are, keep a kind of political order going.
How did the gods like him? I can't imagine they'd like him then.
Well, I mean, they like him as much as they like any other god. Because, I mean, yes, this is his personality, but he's also, like, he's still, like, friends and has a personality outside of his domain. Like, they even mentioned him being friends with the god of magic, and that though the god of magic, Mistral, she technically is a kind of not official god of time, but she's been doing it for so long that even though he is the god of time, he lets her run it, and then he just helps occasionally because that's his friend and he doesn't want to step on her domain, even though he technically is the god of time.
I like that concept, even though like they have like their own domains, they still like have these like personalities that, you know, gods like or dislike even outside of the domain. So it's not like a domain war, right? Like,
yeah,
the god of lies automatically hates the god of truth, you know?
Yeah.
like
I always like making like stuff like that where the god of lies and truths are like brothers, and so they love each other, but they also are opposed to each other, but they're also brothers, so they treat each other as such. And that's why I always like the Greek pantheon, how it's like Poseidon, Hades, and Zeus, and the kind of interactions they have together are very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, those are my favorite pantheons too, which is kind of what we're going with right now in this season, kind of so far. I mean, kind of like this big pantheon of gods being celebrities. It's pretty fun.
Now, unlike many people where they see the law as the spirit and the intention of its creation being most important, Amaunator saw it as the letter of the law was the most important. This extended into his portfolio, and this is crazy, and my favorite fact about Amaunator, specifically his domain of time. For he only became the god of time because of a mispunctuation in a legal document with another god.
Wait, repeat that again? Wait, what?
He had a legal document between gods there was a punctuation that was supposed to be a comma, but it was actually put in as a period that gave him the right to be the god of time. So he is the god of time because letter of the law, he is.
That's so good. It's
fantastic. Specifically, it reads this. This is what it's supposed to read. Amaunator shall be responsible for all time, comma, any misrepresentations of his or his followers, if so deemed the fault of Amaunator. So meaning if there is a problem with him or his followers, it is his problem. But there was a period instead of the first comma, so it read, so Amaunator shall be responsible for all time.
Oh no. He's a god by grammatical error of time. I love it. It's so good.
Yes, so he's the god of all his other things, and then because of those things, he couldn't let this period go, because the letter of the law means he's the god of time.
Boy, that's so silly, but so wonderful.
It's so good.
So into contracts and stuff like that, because his contract has like an error in it. He is now the god of time. Oh, gosh.
It's fantastic. Now, as I said, he never pursued absorbing this into his portfolio, as his friend and ally Mistral, the Netherese god of magic, was the unofficial goddess of time. But with this document, Amaunator filled in from time to time as needed. He would help. This was until the death of Mistral, when Amaunator had to step up and take over the domain fully.
Boy, that sucks.
Now, some despise Amaunator, specifically the people from... So he was originally of the Netherese Pantheon, which is the kind of super magical pantheon that I was... of that Netherese society, which I've talked about many times on the podcast at this point. They started despising him immensely. Because he followed the letter of the law. And because he did so, it prevented him from doing a lot of things which would benefit his people. Because he contractually had no power to do so. Such as the fall of the Netherese, when the Netherese society fell apart, that originally happened because Karsus tried to take over Mistral's place, the goddess of magic. And magic suddenly died, and so all their cities started falling, and all this magical chaos started happening. He couldn't do anything because his domain was not magic. So the only way to save them would be to step in and solve magic. But he didn't have the right to do so. So he couldn't, internally for himself, he couldn't step in, despite wanting to.
Gosh. Wow. Is there... Okay. He's pretty extreme in the contract following. I'm curious. I mean, I know we're not done with the story yet, but is there like there's got to be like a god of tricks or something who tries to trick him into a contract that's bad? There's got to be.
I mean, there probably is in the lore, but I have not read it.
I mean, because you could really, heck, it would also be a fun story for a mortal to like trick this god into signing a contract.
No, see, now what I think would be fun would be a trickster god tricking the god of order and rules and stuff to accidentally sign a contract with a mortal that gives the mortal a domain to rule over. A godly domain.
It would be an awesome story. It'd be so fun.
But in not doing anything and not stopping the Netherese society from dying, the Netherese that remained began to hate him. They stopped following him as
Understandably.
If you didn't do anything, you could have done something the whole time. You are there, you exist, and you did nothing. So many followers left that he lost greater deityhood and went into lesser deityhood. But it didn't stop there. Eventually, over 320 years, he lost almost all of his followers. So much so that all of his power was pretty much gone, and he became a corpse in the astral sea.
Oh, that's super depressing.
Yeah, not great. Because that's what happens to gods when they're not followed by anybody. They can just die. I mean, they don't fully die. You could bring them back if you get a bunch of followers and a bunch of other stuff, but they specifically get their power from people. So if people aren't there, they have no power and they die.
Yeah, this is a depressing story. Poor guy. Just because he was contractually obligated.
Yeah. So he's like, I literally couldn't step on the contract and interfere with magic because I don't have the right to. So the people still knew of his existence. And gossip and rumors popped up about where did he go? Because he's dead now. So he's not doing any effect on the world. And people are like, where is he? Why isn't Amaunator doing anything? Some believed that he was no longer in Faerun. Some believed that he went to Kara-Tur, the kind of Asian medieval fantasy area of the Forgotten Realms. Others believed that he left this planet completely. But some thought he was destroyed by other deities and his portfolio folded into theirs. The main one suggested for this is the god of the sun, Lathander. But two ideas sprouted from this. The first was that the idea that the sun was an over-deity, or an over-god, with two aspects of it existing in the world, one being Lathander, one being Amaunator. And they believe that no, Lathander did not kill Amaunator, but he was like a side, a brother of them. The other idea was that Lathander was a reincarnation of Amaunator, but he had not fully become Amaunator, and they believed that he would soon eventually become a full reincarnation of Amaunator. Now, both of these are not, I mean, all three of these are not good looks for Lathander. if they're not true.
Right.
Either you're a reincarnation of a god, which who knows if you are, either you've killed the god and taken over his rules, or he's gone missing and somehow you're related to him. So he had a few options of what he could do. And in the end, he decided to not do anything and let the kind of cults that believed these things be. In doing so, he gained more followers, but his authority and his history kind of became muddled as, is he Amaunator? Is he Lathander? People don't know. Now, a powerful fire genasi member of the Church of Lathander and believer that Lathander was Amaunator's reincarnation created a spell called Amaunator's Eternal Sun. Now, creating spells is actually a super popular thing in the Amaunator church. And they're all super freaking cool. I love all the Amaunator spells. And I don't know if we should talk about them here or you and I should just talk about them afterwards, but they're cool.
Are they like, well, now I'm curious. Now I'm curious.
Well, should I talk about them on here? Well, okay.
Are they going to take a long time to...
There are explain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. 6 like major ones. There's okay. Oh.
Now you've got me all.
So
I'm ready.
before we get into Amaunator's Eternal Sun, which is the one that they cast, another one that was made by the church is called Advanced Sunshine.
Advanced Sunshine.
One of the components of Advanced Sunshine is the amount of daylight in a day.
What? So you have to what?
You consume the amount of daylight in a day, making the sun go down faster by casting this spell.
What?
Yes.
It like makes it night for
It
forever,
makes it
for
no,
for a day for
no, no,
over a
no, no,
day?
no, no. It just like it like cuts a little bit of the time back. Like it makes it sun go down over the horizon an hour earlier.
Okay, interesting.
I know, which is totally weird.
What does the spell do?
There are 3 effects that you can have it do. First is you could create a very, very long-lasting light spell. And that one only costs a few minutes of daylight in return.
What just like a normal cantrip light or like
Yeah, like the spell light, but like lasting super long amounts of time. Second, you could create a fireball, and this one drops the temperature of an entire area 90 miles by 1 degree. What the heck? So you take the heat from a 90-mile radius and converge it, making a fireball.
That's pretty wild.
Yes.
Is it just a normal fireball spell?
I think so. It just says create a fireball, and then it has the fireball be a hyperlink to the fireball spell. So I assume it's just the same damage as a fireball.
Yeah. Dang, what level is this spell? What are these, like, they out of?
What level is this spell? It's 4th level.
Interesting. Okay.
Now,
what's the other one?
this slight, literally only 1 degree colder area lasts for what's called a 10-day, which is a Forgotten Realms unit of measurement of 10 days. So they split each month into 3 10 days.
Okay, so if you casted this like 12 times, that's a 12 degree difference.
That's a 12 degree difference, yes.
You could like kill the whole world. I mean, you could kill the whole 90-mile radius by casting it 200 times.
Oh, they specifically mention about this spell. Farmers and ranchers viewed it as an abuse of the divine and reviled this spell.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Now, the last one is you can create a very powerful continual light effect that shortens daylight by an entire hour on the day it's cast, or if you cast it at night, the next day.
So you take an hour of sunlight and you gain an hour of sunlight on the day you want?
No. There's a spell called Continual Light. You create that effect by shortening the day by an hour.
Got it. Okay, got it. That's a pretty fun spell. I like that. Those little.
Now, this one's really interesting. It's called Amaunator's Uncertainty. You just make another individual uncertain.
That's fun though.
It is.
Good.
No, it's super cool because it mentions like a bunch of uses for it in the description.
Role play. Oh man, the role play.
This uncertainty prevented the victim from executing whatever action he or she intended to in a non-hostile situation, while it merely delayed a person's readiness to enter combat in a combative situation. So you can make it so if you're having you're trying to talk someone down and they're like about to jump into battle, you can cast this and they'll be less likely to jump into battle, and you can talk to them a little more and convince them, please don't do this.
I love that. I love it so much. I mean, like you could cast that on like anybody. Do they know if they've passed the spell or if they know?
I don't know, but you could also cast it on an area of people.
Oh, see, that's so fun. You can make an entire just the role play ability with that.
I'm going to go a little quicker through these last ones because we're taking a lot of time here.
Okay.
So, the next one is called Illumination. It's sort of like a weird rendition of Commune. The caster gets surrounded in golden light, and they feel like 7 minutes pass, but the spell only lasts for 1 minute. So everybody else sees them only doing this for 1 minute, but for them it feels like 7. During this time, the caster kind of goes into a stasis where they can't be affected by any spell or anything other than ones that involve cold, darkness, or shadow. For the spell's duration, they can, like Commune, ask their deity questions, yes, no, or I don't know. can't. The questions have to be able to be answered like that. Now, it specifically says that the deity is not under any deity is not under any restrictions here. So if they ask a question that could be answered with yes, no, I don't know, the deity could answer yes, but also continue to extrapolate on that as much as the deity wants.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not locked into like a commune where they're like yes or no. It's like the deity could answer as long as they wanted. Now, instead of using these questions, when you have this spell cast, you could also use any number of the questions that you would be able to ask to do casting of spells. You could cure light wounds, you could do a free action, you could cast prayer, you could cast cure disease, you could cure blindness or deafness. You could do all these cleric spells instead of asking questions to your god as well. Now, the next one is called Sun Scepter, which pretty much...
Oh gosh, this sounds brutal.
So it's a conjuration spell, but one of the components is a solid gold scepter or mace worth at least 2,500 gold pieces.
Okay.
When you cast this spell...
Expensive.
It doesn't like eat it up, so you can just use it infinitely. Okay. You just keep this super expensive mace upon your body the whole time.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay.
And it creates a weapon that has a few different effects, which we kind of have thrown out these ideas of these simple effects on D&D weapons. So I got to look up what they are. So you could do what's called. This one doesn't have anything written about what it means. I'm sure it has a meaning, but I don't know what. I'd have to look very far. It's called the weapon has the powers of axiomatic, disruption, and flaming burst. So the ones I know are disruption and flaming burst. Disruption: whenever an undead foe was struck with a disruption weapon, it had to successfully resist the effects. With a will save or be destroyed instantly.
Oh gosh. Okay. Holy cow.
And the other one, flame burst weapon. First, it's just a weapon that's on fire, so it's going to continually do flame damage. But on top of that, a critical strike against a foe triggers an explosion. So the weapon just explodes with flame if you get a crit as well, which is just a fantastic idea for a flaming weapon.
Does it hurt you, though?
I don't know.
Like, that's a big explosion. I mean, I'm assuming that's, if it blows up when you...
Well, I'm thinking it's more like everything within 5 feet. I don't think it's like a massive explosion, but maybe it's like a fireball each time, which would be madness.
It'd be crazy.
Now, the last one is it's one that has been since used by other deities, but it was created by the Amaunator church. It's called Weapon of the Deity. When it is cast, whoever the deity of the person casting it is, because it has to be a cleric, paladin, or like anti-paladin called Blackguard, whoever their deity is, the favored weapon of that deity shows up in the person's hand, granting the wielder proficiency with that weapon that they previously lacked.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The weapon is enchanted, allowing it to strike opponents with more ease and cause more harm, which probably means it's a plus weapon of some sort. I don't know exactly how much.
+2. Probably +1. That's most of the time.
Additionally, the weapon is imbued with the deity's specific enchantment, meaning that each deity had a unique enchantment for their weapon if you cast Weapon of the Deity, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's really fun. Just thinking about like our campaign, there'd be so many fun things that I could do with that kind of spell.
Yeah.
For people's abilities and different things that they could see. Be really fun.
Yeah, and learn kind of more about your deity based on the ability that it has.
So cool.
Yeah. But so those are the weapons they have. Those are the spells they have. But the people right in the story cast Amaunator's Eternal Sun, which needs 193 people to cast it.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, 193, and it creates a second sun.
It creates a second sun?
A second sun.
what I heard?
That is 100% what you heard.
A second sun.
Yes. Now, it's not in space. It's right above. Now, I believe it only goes for 150 miles. So if you go out of 150 miles, it goes under the horizon. Now, this fire genasi who had this cast used it as a sign to say that Amaunator's reincarnation is coming to completion. This is a sign from the gods that he is coming back. And in doing so, made his ideas the main ideas of the church, because huge amounts of people saw this and were like, oh crap, that could only be the gods. That's incredible.
Oh, no.
So now the major belief in the Lathander church is that Lathander is a reincarnation of Amaunator. And we learn out a few years later that was the case.
Okay. Does that mean... So wait, this is kind of a weird question.
Yes.
If you had two gods and one of them was dead, but one of them still existed, but then a group convinced the group that worshipped the one that existed that they were coming back, so they ended up worshiping the god, like they thought the dead god was the god who still existed. Would the dead god then come back to life? Is that what happened here?
No. So okay, they purposely left this vague. They specifically gave a few options of what could have happened. One, this became such a wide believed thing, and Lathander started to believe it too, to the point where it became the case.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
That is a possibility. Also, Lathander could have always been a reincarnation of Amaunator.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that answered my question. Interesting. Very interesting.
Now, I'm thinking from here, we just create our own greater deity for our celebrity world. And maybe we create multiple, maybe it's just one. We're super running late, so let's dive into it quick.
Okay. I think we should do something a little bit different, okay, than what you suggested. Because we're running late, we don't have a lot of time. So I think there should be something quick that we make. And what I want to do is, before we make any gods, I want to make like a rule system for these gods in this like arena in this area, and like an entity maybe that like oversees it. Because how are these gods? They compete for the favor of and the worship of mortals. How do these gods, what rules do they follow? Do they follow rules? Is there like a main like creator god who oversees all of this? What is that?
I kind of don't want it to be something that's over them. Okay. I kind of want it to be one of them that just decided, hey, how about this? I'll stand to the side and just mediate. And I don't know if you saw Thor Ragnarok.
I have.
I'm imagining like I think it was just the Taskmaster. I think that's what he was called. But like that sort of a entity where it's like, you don't quite know if he's a god or if he's like an alien or like what his exact situation is. But no matter what, he seems to be powerful and is at least in our world, is the gods respect his decision enough that they are okay with him deciding things when it comes to their duels and their competitions.
So do you see him... Okay, now this is a question. Do you see him more as a like judge, or do you see him more as like a creepy game show host who comes up with the rules and hosts the game shows? I see this more as each god chooses what they wanted to do. So I think there is gods who have foregone this completely and pretty much almost died, but they have these small little cults that they've built up of people that are like, we don't need this kind of showmanship. God's the only one who's refused to put on these shows. Let's worship him type stuff.
Yeah. And kind of like, I don't see a reason to fight, or I don't see a reason to put on a show. And so I think it's 100% the gods. And I think the idea of it being like a competition tournament for like more combative gods is just one of those things that has been passed down through tradition at this point, to the point where nobody sees a reason to change it.
So this taskmaster master then I'm interested. What so to the DM, to us, right? To the people creating the world, do we see him as a god, as one of these people? And does he have followers of himself? So like do people follow
Definitely.
him because he's the
I think it's a lot smaller than all of the other gods' followings, as it is a very select few people that believe he is, like, some people even believe he's the most powerful god. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't think he will ever let that knowledge get out there.
Okay, there's something interesting now that you know, just with what you said there. I'm curious. Do we see this as a single god, or is this like you can win it, like you can become it? Like a god can become the
No,
taskmaster.
because I kind of like the idea of it being a god who technically said, I will agree to be sidelined to take this position. And in doing so, more devoted followers are the only ones that he has gotten. Because the other ones, they're going to get all these people that are just like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, I guess I'm going to follow this one. But the only ones who are willing to go after the god that doesn't compete or show himself in that way are ones that are going to follow more fervently. And I think he enjoys that.
Okay. Yeah, what do you think prevents like these gods who participate in, you know, these events? What prevents them from just completely ignoring the taskmaster and the rule guy? If like how do
I think it's I think, again, I don't think he lets that be known. I think even the other gods don't know at this point. I think he's such a good job at obscuring himself, whether he's a god of lies or something. Which is hilarious to have the god of lies be the mediator and truth teller, pretty much.
Yeah.
But the idea that he has obfuscated it so much that they don't know. Also, the other gods have kind of agreed to this. So if you say, screw you, Taskmaster, they're going to say, no. And the rest of the other gods are going to be your problem.
It could be interesting. It could be interesting to do like each god, when they became a god, like sacrificed a little bit of their power to create this entity. That could be a fun thing too. Or like each god, like if this taskmaster could.
What if I take this in a different direction? So it's the same idea of he gets power from the other gods. What if it's not known?
Like he is
like a bunch of gods
what if
fight hold on. A bunch of gods fight in an arena. They bleed all over the place. He absorbs the energy and life essence from the blood that they have spilled in this competition and uses that to power himself.
Okay, I love this. But what if it was like, instead of like, you know, he takes their energy that they, you know, like their life energy, but what if like instead he gains every worshiper that, you know, chooses to worship the gods, he gains a slight amount of power from that. And so he puts on these shows for maximum entertainment because he also gets more power. And so when the amount of worshipers, you know, he gets more power from just the amount of worshipers that worship the Pantheon. And like it was an agreed upon thing by all the gods to prevent them from cheating against one another. So like all these gods, so I'm kind of combining the two ideas.
I like that idea of him willing to sideline himself, but like saying, I get a cut of the profit pretty much. And yes, everybody saying, yes, we'll give you a cut of the profit for you stepping to the side, and kind of choosing as a group to create their own over deity is really fascinating for me. I really like that.
I picture it like a Roman Senate, right? Of all these gods who are getting together. You know, they all want to either perform for creation, they want worshipers and followers, a very kind of classic thing, and they're like deliberating and debating, and they come up with this idea that, hey, if we all say, God X, Y, and Z becomes the lawmaker, and what we do is we have like a contract essentially, like a gladiator contract that we participate in these events for our own pleasure and for worshipers. But every worshiper that we gain, this god gains for not participating and being the lawmaster, this god gains a certain amount of power per worshiper that is followed.
Yeah, we bind him to the Pantheon, so everybody who worships the Pantheon, he gets some of that. That's great. I think that's fantastic.
And I think would be really fun is if later down the line we think about maybe another continent or something that this continent doesn't know exists, and maybe it starts becoming a thing like, well, how does our Pantheon get more powerful by getting these worshipers? Could be interesting as well. Like maybe it's a there could be all sorts of fun little things you do there, but I think that's a good kind of like middle point where he still has all this power and he still has they're all kind of contractually, like we had with this god, obliged to follow this thing, and he gains a little bit of power from it, thus making him as powerful and in some ways more powerful than the gods themselves, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, now the rules. What are the rules? What do we see the rules looking like? Are there rules? Is it subjective? Like, does it like just by case? Like, does he just like... Because like if you have a god of lies and deceit playing against like a god of bravery, right? They're not going to be playing by the same rules, right? So I'm curious, what are our standards there? That's a pretty difficult question, I think, actually.
I think it depends on what the ability is. I think what the contest is very different. I think there's contests where it's a battle of bands, or there's contests where it's fighting in an arena. I think each of those is going to have a very different rule set, and I don't know if we can go through each of those.
Well, this is kind of what I want to discuss. So I'm seeing this Taskmaster figure as like a okay, if you've seen some of Calamity, there's no spoilers in this, but kind of like Sam Riegel's character, this like loquacious, like this very outspoken, this very charismatic individual who like is the face of this program, right? Like I think that would be really fun. Like he does promotional news for people of the city, right? Like he does all this interesting stuff that promotes the Pantheon, right? Because that's what his full-time job is. Instead of like competing in these games, his full-time job is, overseeing the rules and promoting the Pantheon, right? And so I think it'd be interesting if like each competition that arises, the gods have to like come to him and get the contest approved by the laws they deem fair for the contest, right? So if you have the god of lies versus the god of bravery in a battle, right? Those two gods like come up with like certain standards of the fight that they both agree to, right? And then he then can like promote that fight, like, the god of bravery, I think that could be one way we do it. So, and then that would cover like if it's like an intellectual debate, right? If it's a debate of some kind, or like a scholarly, research. Boy, I don't even know what that would look like, but it could cover Battle of the Bands even, right? Because they come together and decide for the event. Maybe it's event based too, where like there's an event, there's going to be a gladiatorial arena, fight, or an event, and 17 gods are participating, and here's our bracket, and these are the rules that were agreed upon by all 17 combatants. And, within that, there's some wiggle room, and, that's where the gods of lies and deceit and stuff like that can kind of, get away with some stuff. And I think it would probably be that way, where it's like based on events and based on, what the combatants or what the group decides, the Lawmaster then upholds, so he doesn't have complete control over everybody.
Yeah.
Do you think there's ever like a push to get rid of him?
I think there's been attempts to not get rid of him, but to like surpass or maneuver around. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I could even
Like
see
they would
maybe
prefer
like
not to deal with.
right, right. Yeah. Well, I could even see too, like maybe somebody who's a little bit more nefarious trying to, maybe do a campaign of we need a new taskmaster. Master, this one's been here for so long. Let's have a new one type stuff too. That could be fun. Where they have like a whole entire, I mean, not smear campaign, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like an attempt to try and remove him and become the taskmaster even could be interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think do you think he would have? So the basic idea is the gods have agreed to give like a percentage of their follower share to this entity. Do you think he has his own pantheon at all, like his own worshippers at all, or
Yes.
is he just like not?
Yes, I think
Like available for worship?
in any true world, a group of people would see the one that is, they'd see the one that is mediating all this and see power. And so
Yeah.
I think in that there is definitely people who in any world would be drawn to him. And so I think he does definitely have followers. I don't think it's a lot, but I think the ones, as I said earlier, are they are more dedicated.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree. I think he has a very small limit. Do you think that now, I mean, this could be another interesting story plot or fun thing. Do you think that the group would like his followers he gives a share to every other god of his followers that he has to make it even? So, say he has.
No, I don't
there's-
think he gives any of his. I don't think that was the deal. I think the deal was purely, and I think maybe that becomes a point of contention at some point.
Yeah.
Where like, hey, wait a minute, but I don't think that's a point of I don't think that's a major problem right now.
Yeah, agreed. I think that could be that could be a possible fun story thing where he tries to become more powerful and gain a bigger following to rule over the gods. That could be fun. That could be a very interesting thing. But anyways, I think that could be a fun little story plot that could happen. But yeah, so I think this deity would need to exist by necessity because I don't really know how else they would, track losses and victories and, track, not completely cheating on, beating each other up and cheating and, lying and being deceitful. I would think the evil gods would have a distinct advantage because they're not necessarily bound to the same standards as the good gods, and possibly even vice versa, depending on the challenge. But so I think that's fun, and that would also mix up the challenges too. So, people would come to see different challenges that have been agreed upon, and and I think it would be interesting too if there was like a community one that the community created for the gods to participate in. I think that could be interesting too. And they kind of come up with the rules, and they have to present it to this taskmaster god to agree upon, and then the gods have to go fight. They'd have to go and do this challenge that the community and the taskmaster have agreed upon. I think that could be fun too.
Yeah.
You've decided, a fight over the volcano. Like.
Yeah, I like the idea of a partially decided by the combatants type rule system. And I think, do you think if it is a sort of the combatants have decided what the rules are, and this is just the mediator, do you think there's ever been a fight to the death?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's probably pretty rare though, but I think that would be an interesting.
Before we end
history,
what do you think the circumstances of that was? Why did gods fight to the death?
Yeah, and that god like no longer exists. It's not like fight to the death, you get banished to your plane for a few days. It's like you are gone forever. Because I think it would be pretty standard to have like a fight to the death where like the god like dies in the arena, but like they can't die because they're gods, right? So like they
Yes, I
they
think
get
this.
banished for a
The only
few
way
days.
this worked was that I think this might have been like a huge shock to the gods, and this kind of brought about some ideas of, do we remove this guy? Because I think what happens is half of the gods believe, oh, it's just going to be one of those fights. The other half believe, no, it's going to be something more, but I don't know how it's going to happen.
What
The
if
Taskmaster
this-
had something in his back pocket that killed. Like so he gets hurt. The god gets hurt, and the other god wins. And they're like, okay, well now it's time to die. And the Taskmaster just kills him. And everybody's like, wait, the Taskmaster can just do that? What?
What if we did it? What if we did the reverse of this and did this is why the Taskmaster was agreed upon and created, because somebody one of the gods lost a fight, and the other god just straight up removed them from existence because they couldn't fight anymore. And so then it
That's
became
good.
a point of contention to the gods of like, whoa, like, hey, we need to solve this out so that, you know, we don't end up completely destroying each other forever and have one god remaining.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
and
So
then
let's
they had
create a
this-
mediator.
Yeah, so we don't do this anymore.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and I think that's probably how it started, and I think that's fun. That's super fun.
Well,
I love this. This
I know this is
fun.
fantastic. I love this world. I think that is where we're going to end it for episode
Yeah.
89 of Dungeoneered.
Woo!
If you listen to us on any podcasting apps with ratings and reviews, it really helps the show if you write a review. It shows you're engaging in more ways than just one, and kind of boosts our visibility so other people see us.
Algorithm.
Yeah, algorithm, yes, playing to the algorithm. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you had a great time. We had a fun time clearly making this.
Yeah, we did.
If you want to write to us, you can write to us at dungeoneered@hotmail.com. We'd love to hear from you if you have ideas for topics, Lukewarm Opens, if you created something interesting and just want to talk about it, or you wanted to talk about something
wanna
cool
send
that
us-
we made that you wanted to add to, or say your little piece about. We'd love to hear it all, and including what, Aaron, which I'm worried.
I was gonna say your tips and tricks on how to stay cool in 95-degree weather.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that right now.
Neither would I.
Anything else you can add, Aaron?
No, I don't think so. I don't
Well-
think so. You know, I could use a popsicle right now. That'd be pretty good. Sounds pretty yummy.
Now, we're not sponsored, but I had a 7-Eleven Slurpee when
Oh,
earlier today.
we talked about those the other day.
It was perfect. This is the weather to have them.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I should go get a hashtag not sponsored Frosty.
Well, as
But if
I always
Wendy's
say,
wants to sponsor me and give me Frosties, you know, it's definitely on the table.
always remember to be the
Be the
Sharpest barrel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Of is next.
in the bunch.
Oh, in. Okay, in was next.
See you next time.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Bye.
Bye.